Metroid Prime 4. Now you can't say I didn't mention it. Hello there lovely people, it's Alex from Nintendo Life here, and today we're going to be looking at 25 of the most wonderful games coming to the Nintendo Switch still in the year of 2019. And a little bit beyond as well. Now, obviously this isn't every game coming to the Switch in the near future, or indeed the distant future, depending on how you measure time. Instead, this is kind of just like our personal sort of laundry list of loveliness, if you like. In fact, maybe I should put that in the title. No one will click on it. These games are in release order because that's sensible, and apart from that, there's nothing else to say. It's fairly self-explanatory. It's a list of games. But anyway, that's more than enough waffling. Let's dive right into things. Starting things off on the 26th of July, we have got Fire Emblem Three Houses just around the corner. I could sit here for ages and talk about Fire Emblem Three Houses, but realistically, I haven't played it yet, and Xeon has, and he's done a full chuffing half-an-hour video on it. So go and watch that if you want to learn more about it, because it's better than listening to me. Click that card in the top right-hand corner, or the link in the description to go and watch it. It's good. Again, still on the 26th of July, we have got Wolfenstein Youngblood. Now, if you know me, you'll know that I am a big fan of Wolfenstein. I think it's just because it's so unlike Nintendo's first-party efforts. It's just so completely ridiculous and over the top, and yet has this sort of weirdly serious undertone, and so it's good. And this is a new one with, like, co-op and stuff like that. And I do love me some co-op. Rather than playing as BJ Blazkowicz himself, you are running around as his two daughters because BJ, yeah, that's a joke, has gone missing and was last seen in Paris, and it's your job to try and track him down. It looks like great fun. It's just it's just Wolfenstein. Moving on to the 30th of July, we have got Mutant Year Zero Road to Eden. If you're looking at this footage right now and you're thinking, hey, XCOM, well, yeah, basically. Your team consists of these mutants after some sort of hideous apocalypse. As you might imagine with the term Year Zero, it's sort of society starting again, and it's just a turn-based sort of XCOM-style tactical shooter type game. I say tactical shooter is more just sort of a tactics game. Shooter makes it sound like you do the shooting yourself. You don't. It's got some really interesting ideas, though, and some interesting little quirks here and there to mix up the formula and make it its own thing. Also, you've got this guy who's a mutant duck. How can you complain? Then on the 20th of August, we have got the appropriately named Rad. This is another post-apocalyptic game. However, this one takes place not after one apocalypse, but two. I don't know why, but it's two. There's obviously a load of radiation around, and pretty much everything has died, and it's your job to sort of hack and slash and beat 'em up your way through all these swathes of enemies. It's a sort of a roguelite style game where you play as a character who is hideously mutated, and you continue to mutate as you go on. As you can probably tell, it also has a very strong sort of 80s vibe, hence another play on the term rad, meaning radical, not just radiation, those clever double fine people. I'm really keen to see more of the game, but right now I've seen just enough for it to properly pique my interest, and I really want to give it a go. Just 10 days later, on the 30th of August, we have Astral Chain. Now, I've actually seen this firsthand. I've not played it, but I have seen it firsthand being played at a preview event at Nintendo UK, so thank you very much for that. I haven't mentioned it before because, well, I don't like to boast. That's not true. If you've seen the Nintendo Treehouse stuff from E3, then you'll have an idea of what the game's about, but it doesn't fully sort of, I mean, just to have it there presented for me really helped me open my eyes and realize just how deep and complex this game can be if you want it to. If you've played any Platinum Games game before, you won't be surprised to hear that this is made by them. It really just reeks of Platinum Games, and that is no bad thing. When it was first revealed, I wasn't that excited about it, but now that I've actually seen it firsthand, oh lordy, I need to get my hands on this one. On the 3rd of September, we are being visited by the spirit of Spyro Reignited Trilogy. I told you, I blooming told you, didn't I? I told you it was coming. So many people were like, Alex, it's not coming because there's no evidence. And I'm like, Yeah, I can't tell you why I know, I just know. But yes, it's coming, it's official, and there wasn't that much fanfare about it, was there? It was just like, E3, hey, sizzle reel, here's some more games. Oh, Spyro, you know, that game that everyone's been clamoring for? Yes, it's actually coming. I've been holding off buying it on the PS4 because I was so convinced that it was coming to the Switch, and I'm pleased I did, because I mean, you know, I can play it on the go. That's cool. It's 3 Spyro games. What more do I need to say? Strutting along on the 13th of September, we have got Daemon X Machina, or Daemon X Machina as some people are pronouncing it, and at this point, I'm starting to question my own motives. Now, I've had a bit of a weird relationship with this game. When it was first revealed, I was like, hey, cool art style. Yeah, mechs, that looks really cool. And then they released the demo, and it was a bit sort of, it was alright, you know, it was entertaining enough, but it didn't feel like it had much substance. It felt very sort of thin on the ground, and apparently the reason they released that demo is because the devs felt the same way and they wanted to improve it as much as possible, and that's a very reassuring thing. They've listened to the feedback and the criticisms, and so I'm really hoping they're gonna do this as solid and make it a really, really good game. Nintendo's publishing it and they are pushing it hard, although interestingly, it's not actually got any sort of development. As far as I know, it's got no development involvement from Nintendo at all. It's pure Marvelous, which is strange. It's strange. Then on the 20th of September, we've got The Legend of Zelda Link's Awakening. What a beautiful game. I know the art style has been very divisive, but when you see it running firsthand and you actually play it, which I've done now, oh, it's just so beautiful. Videos on YouTube and stuff like that do not do it justice because the fidelity is so wonderful. Everything is just so lovely about the whole thing. It looks absolutely gorgeous and is honestly, I think, the best way they could have included the traditional sort of original Link's Awakening style top-down gameplay without completely changing the art style and making it completely different. And it looks chuffing excellent for it. This is just one of those must-have games. You're gonna have to get it. If not, I'll tell your mum and she won't be happy. The very same 20th of September 2019 is Ni no Kuni, Wrath of the White Witch. I actually had to do some research on this one because I'd heard of it, but I'd never actually played it. And, you know, the more I've looked into it, the more I've actually started getting excited about it, and from what I've seen, this is really, really deserving of the hype. I've not researched it too much, because I reached a point where I was actually interested in playing it, and I thought, well, I don't want any spoilers. I want to be able to experience the game firsthand, so I'm definitely going to give this a look in. Although I can't really say much more about it than that, because I'm one of those types that doesn't like to spoil games. On the 26th of September, another similar situation, Dragon Quest XI. There's a load of stuff afterwards which I haven't written in my notes. This is a very similar thing, and when I did the video talking about the E3 reveals and stuff like that, I sort of ham-fistedly explained how I hadn't played a Dragon Quest game, and everyone was like, oh, Alex, I'm unsubscribing. So I thought, okay, I'll look into it. I'll see what all the fuss is about. You know, there've been 11 games so far, and again, it's pretty piqued my interest. Again, despite I still don't care for the art style. I think the most impressive thing about this version of the game is the fact that you can play the whole thing in sort of like a classic 2D pixel art style. And it's basically the same game. I mean, you know, sort of you progress the story and everything. It's so weird. I think the way that it works is that you kind of have, it's kind of like 2 versions of the same game, and you can sort of hop in and hop out, and each one adds progression to each other. It's a really bizarre idea, and the fact that they've included that, I mean, that must have been an insane amount of work for what is realistically not much more than a novelty, but my lordy, what a novelty. Then on the 8th of November, we have not got, as my notes say, Caton's Mystery Journey. We have got Layton's Mystery Journey, Katrielle and the Millionaires Conspiracy Deluxe Edition. What a mouthful. It's a Layton game. It's one of those things where I did have a few Layton games, I believe, on the 3DS, and played them a bit. I think I just picked them up cheap from somebody on, like, Gumtree or something, which is like the UK's version of Craigslist, if you care. And I kind of dabbled with them a bit, but it was when I was at university, and so I was spending far too much time not studying to be able to properly sink sink some time into it. So I'm really pleased that it's coming to Switch. I don't know anything about this particular entry in the series. However, it is not including Professor Layton. It's just Layton, isn't it? It's his daughter or something. It's good. It's like multi-million selling series. How can it be bad? Then on the 15th of November, we have got Pokémon Sword and Pokémon Shield. And I know I've been one of these types that's been a little bit skeptical about Sword and Shield, but I think despite all my criticisms, I still think it is going to be a really, really good game. I still think they should have all the Pokemon in there. I'd be happy for it to be, you know, sort of be in updates and stuff like that, but that's not what this is about. I still think from what I've seen subsequently, it's going to be a really good game. I have played it. I played the E3 demo again at the same preview that I saw Astral Chain and played Link's Awakening, and I must admit I wasn't bowled over there, but it really did seem like the worst thing to show off. Hey, look, we've got a new Pokemon game, and it was basically just... there was nothing different about it. It was just like, look, Dynamaxing Pokemon go big. But the wild areas and things like that, that is such an improvement. It feels like it's very much a small step, but it's a small step in very much the right direction. And I'm hoping that sort of ideology spreads throughout the rest of the game. If it does, oh, baby. A very similar game on the 22nd of November, Doom Eternal. I love Doom to death. Absolutely love it to death. I mean, you probably got that from the fact that I said I love Wolfenstein. The fact that Doom 2016 can run on the Switch at all is just kind of bonkers. And the fact that it's, you know, it was such an important thing and it clearly did well enough that they said that Doom Eternal is coming at the same time as all the other platforms. That to me is just, it's such a huge deal, that alone. But then you got the game itself, and it looks absolutely bloomin' lovely. It's gory, it's over the top, it's fast-paced, it's probably better suited to 60 frames a second, but you know what? I don't care. I got used to playing 30 frames on the Switch for the original Doom. I say the original Doom, you know what I mean. It's gonna be killer. I can't wait. I honestly can't wait. Then at some point in November, we don't have a firm date, and this is going to be a running theme for most of the rest of the list, we have Mario and Sonic at the Olympic Games Tokyo 2020. Now, originally, I wasn't really interested in this game at all. I thought, you know, it's just another Mario and Sonic game. I played one of the ones, I think it was the Beijing Olympic one on the Wii U. I forget exactly, but it was on the Wii U, and it was okay, but I really wasn't bowled over. I thought it was a little bit uninteresting, to be honest. But I've now played this one again at the same preview session, and it's got waggle controls, and for me, that's kind of what these sort of crazy sports games are all about, so I am on board with this, and the fact that you can play as Robotnik and do, like, skateboarding and stuff is beautiful. I imagine it'll go down well with families, but if you're sort of on the fence about it, I'd say look into it a little bit more, and you may actually be surprised. It does look like it's going to be a really solid game, well-made, polished, kind of crazy. You play as Robotnik, do it. Moving on to the even vaguer Q4 2019, we have Panzer Dragoon Remake. I genuinely couldn't tell you what it is about Panzer Dragoon that I love so much. Maybe it's just because it's kind of Star Foxy, and I grew up with Star Fox quite a lot. I love Panzer Dragoon, and I just feel like I haven't played it enough. It's one of those games that for some reason has eluded me, and I couldn't really tell you why. Maybe because I didn't grow up with it. I've got Orta. I think I had a remake of the original on PC when I was growing up, but again, it's just one of those series that, I don't know, it just sort of, I always wanted to play it, but it was never there for some reason. So the fact that it's not only coming to Switch, but it's a full remake, I'll just put it into my face. In the wonderfully vague 2019, and one of many, we have Untitled Goose Game. Now, if you don't know about this game, you are a horrible goose. That is pretty much the whole thing. It's a nice day and you are a horrible goose. You do have objectives, but you're basically just running around being horrible. Like, you're just horrible. You're basically just making other people's lives miserable. Not even miserable, just mildly inconveniencing them, giving them a bad day. And there's just something undeniably endearing about the whole thing. I had the opportunity to play it at EGX, but the queue was enormous. Like, everyone was like, this is a game, man! And I can't blame them. I can't wait for this thing to come out. It was supposed to come out in, like, spring, and we're still waiting, so anytime now. Come on. Still in the vague space year of 2019, we have Luigi's Mansion 3. Again, I've played this now, and it is wonderful. There are some slight control issues I had, but I don't know whether that was just me and not really sort of, like I had to do some sort of weird claw grip for some things, but aside from that, it is absolutely probably the best Luigi's Mansion game yet, like just flat out. The original was wonderful, but compared to this one, it was supremely basic. This has added so many new layers of interesting mechanics, and the fact that you can just like damage ghosts by sucking them up and then whacking them on the floor, it just opens things up enormously. All the ghosts have this wonderful characterization to them. Next Level have done an incredible job with this. It looks like it's going to be one of the best looking and one of the best playing games on the Switch. Like, where the hell did this come from? It's amazing. Still in just 2019, we have Yooka-Laylee and the Impossible Lair. Unlike the original, which was obviously a 3D platformer, this is in fact a 2D platformer, and whilst I suppose Yooka-Laylee, the original, mainly took inspiration from stuff like Banjo-Kazooie, this one takes inspiration from Donkey Kong Country, and that's no bad thing. Oh lordy, I don't care if it doesn't actually have Donkey Kong in it. I need more Donkey Kong Country, baby. That's not to say that it's just kind of Donkey Kong Country-esque. There's a whole sort of like 3D overworld and stuff like that you still interact with, and it does look like they're trying to do something really unusual with the overworld. I hope it pays off, because it is really quite different. And it's got me maybe slightly concerned, but at the same time, they know what they're doing. Again, 2019. Why can't it be sooner? I swear this got like winter. Nah, it's still just 2019. Final Fantasy Crystal Chronicles Remastered. Oh. Crystal Chronicles was a weird game for me just because I never got to play it properly, you know? Because it required so much multiplayer. The whole thing was designed around multiplayer, and whilst I had one friend with a GBA and the link-up cable and everything on the GameCube, that was all I had. And, you know, none of my other friends had the GBA and the cable and the interest in playing it, you know? It's one of those weird situations where you needed 4 people to be sort of available all times, you know, for the entire game. I mean, you didn't need to, but it helped. And so I never felt I properly got to tap into what the game was all about. And so the fact that this one has online, I really don't know what it is about this game. I love the lore, I love the style as well, the fact that it's so different to other Final Fantasy games, that weird music in the intro, it's all good, baby, give it to me. Still just 2019, we have got Shovel Knight King of Cards. Do you like Shovel Knight? Because I do, and I've been waiting for this one for a long time. I do feel like this expansion and, you know, also standalone game has been in the works for so long now, has been delayed so many times. I really hope that they're not having issues with it, or at least issues that can't be overcome, because this is going to be like the final chapter, and there is an unreasonable amount of hype and interest in this. And if it can't live up to it, that's going to be really, really sad. I think I'm going to love it regardless, but I am just a little bit concerned, you know? It'll be fine, I'm sure. It'll be fine. Still just in at some point 2019, The Witcher 3 Wild Hunt. This is coming to Switch. One of the best modern open world games, it's just one of the best open world games, full stop, is coming to Switch. And it's like a current gen game. Yeah, it's been downgraded. Yeah, it only runs at 30 frames a second. Well, the original only ran at 30, didn't it? Yes, it's only 720p, but you know what? Who cares? You're playing The Witcher 3 Wild Hunt. You can play it in an actual forest. It's just bizarre. It's just utterly bizarre. Of course, it would be announced like a month after I bought it on PS4, but you know, I can do a comparison. It's fine. Still just in 2019, we have got Dauntless, which is interesting to note because it is a free-to-play game, and if you're looking at this saying, Alex, that looks suspiciously Monster Hunter-y, whoa, you're clever. I absolutely adore Monster Hunter, and this looks like it's sort of trying to be a similar style of game. I don't want to say it's copying it, because it does look like there are definitely some differences in there, some very key differences, but it also isn't hampered down by the idea that it has to be a Monster Hunter game. So it looks like it may have streamlined certain areas as well that maybe are a little bit of a hangover. Like the controls look like you might actually be able to use them, which is always a bonus. Oh, Monster Hunter. And it's free. I mean, it's free. I can't argue with that. It's free and it's coming to Switch. Yeah! And the last game with the tentative just 2019 release date is the working title of Town. This is a Game Freak game for which we've had basically no updates. I think we got a screenshot earlier this year and that's it. It's an RPG made by Game Freak, and I don't know this for certain, but I kind of get the feeling after seeing numerous interviews and stuff like that this is basically, they wanted to make an RPG that wasn't Pokemon for a change, which is fine. And I'm really excited to see what they can do without the sort of the typical ideas of it has to be a Pokemon game when it comes to a turn-based RPG. I'm down for this baby, although it's hard to talk about it because we don't really know anything about it. And now we move on to Beyond 2019. Yes, on the 20th of March 2020, we have got Animal Crossing New Horizons, baby. I am just so excited for this game. It's made me actually pick up Animal Crossing Pocket Camp, which is a feat in and of itself. And I am just gagging now for a proper Animal Crossing game, and one with genuinely new ideas, and this looks like it's gonna have it. You know, the crafting mechanics, the fact that you are building this town from scratch, you can tell your damn villagers where you want them to be. It just looks like it's gonna be a much more creative Animal Crossing style, rather than you moving into an area and sort of establishing yourself in there, and, you know, even, you know, toyed with it in New Leaf where you made some changes here and there, and you did ordinances and stuff like that, public works projects. But this time you're actually like properly crafting everything about the island, and I'm just so excited. It's like they sort of looked at Minecraft and said, no, not quite, but a bit. The proof of the pudding, of course, will be in the eating, but right now, I don't think I could be more excited for this. But I bet Nintendo's gonna make me. And finally, with a release date of simply TBD, we have got Hollow Knight Silksong. Again, this is a game I've played now, and if you've played Hollow Knight, you know that it is a tough little sausage, to say the least. And no doubt there'll be somebody in the comments going, "Oh, Hollow Knight isn't hard. You need to play this game made by some obscure company." You know what? Hollow Knight's hard. Shut up. It's also beautiful and wonderfully refined, and it's a Metroidvania, which is like objectively the best genre. And I am bowled over by this. Not just because it's beautiful, and not just because you're not playing as the same character as before, but you're playing as Hornet this time, by the way, if you couldn't tell from the video. But Hornet controls very, very differently, and more importantly, everything about the game is like, I swear it's like twice as fast and just twice as acrobatic. It's insane. There are like 2 levels that I played. The first one I think was like a starting area, and it was fine, you know, I sort of breezed through it because I've played plenty of Hollow Knight before. And then I tried the other one, and I said to James, who works at Nintendo, I said, "James, where's the boss? I want to do the boss in this area." And he was like, "Oh, I'll go through there." And I got absolutely creamed. If you think it's just going to be another Hollow Knight game, then think again. But if you think it's going to be straying from what makes Hollow Knight, think again. It's kind of this beautiful, it's kind of like an ideal sequel. It changes up just enough things to be different and interesting and enticing, and to give it its own identity, but without actually making it not Hollow Knight. It's good. And there you have it. That is just 25 of the loveliest games coming to the Nintendo Switch in the year of 2019 still, and a little bit afterwards, because I want to talk about Animal Crossing. Which games are you most excited for? Is there something missing from this list that you feel is a mere crime not to mention? Let us know down there in the comments. Thank you so much for watching. If you like this video, then why don't you peel off that mask revealing the subscribe button underneath, and be sure to check out nintendolife.com for all sorts of lovely Nintendo related content. Thank you again for watching. Bye-bye. I think we got a screenshot earlier this year, and that's it.